Good morning. Sorry, I'm not used to talking with a microphone. Usually my voice carries pretty far, but as soon as I walked in, I got a choice of microphone, whether I wanted a handheld or a lapel. And I was like, oh, I can just throw my voice. I cheered all my life. I can throw it pretty far. And he was like, well, it's better for the YouTube stream. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? The what? I didn't know. So, anyway, surprise. Happy Friday morning. I hope you all have had a really good conference. This session is connecting minds, supporting a unified digital experience with CUES. My lovely boss and our district CIO, Amy Buss, is here with me. So she's probably going to jump in and help me say some things, maybe. But if you were in the rapid identity session yesterday, this is a lot of the same things that we mentioned yesterday. We might go a little bit deeper in terms of kind of what our district did, but it's still going to be a lot about the apps portal. And then I'll tell you a couple things that we did a little bit deeper, but I don't want to go dive whole hog into it. Now watch, my clicker's not going to work now. There we go. My name is Ashley Vincent. I'm a digital learning coach. So if this is a session where you think you're going to learn a lot of technological setup and systems, this is not the place. I'm not that button pusher, and I'm not the data integration specialist. So I'm a former librarian. I was an elementary librarian for 11 years. And then, thank you, James Allen, for the shout out. And then transferred to the digital learning coach role. This is my second year as a DLC. I do work for Warren County Public Schools. We are located in Bowling Green, Kentucky. My email is at the bottom, but I promise I'm not necessarily the person you might want to ask about our full implementation process. But here we go. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our district. Again, if you were in that session yesterday, we talked a lot about this. Our district is very diverse. We are kind of a smorgasbord of all things. We have, let me get to that slide. We are the fourth largest school district in Kentucky. We serve over 18,000 students. We are actually getting closer to 19,000. We have 15 elementary schools, 4 middle, 4 high schools, a variety of alternative programs. We have an international high school. We have a virtual high school. We have day treatment and an inpatient hospital that we support for technology. We have an ATC. And so lots of various programs and things that when we were setting up our CUES experience, we kind of had to think about a lot of different puzzle pieces. Our students and staff speak over 110 languages. Bowling Green for a long time was a refugee city and a sanctuary city. And so we have a lot of newcomers that come to Bowling Green. And so we are growing every year because of that. We are getting ready to open a new innovative high school that should be the first of its kind in the state of Kentucky. And then we are also opening a brand new elementary school in the next couple of years. So we have lots of construction projects going on, lots of various grade levels and everything. So we had a lot to pack in and think about as we kind of move towards the Rapid Identity Apps portal. Also, if you were in our session today, we called our time before Rapid Identity the before. And then, so you're going to hear me say a lot like in the before and then in the after. Because it really is one of those things like in the before, I was a librarian. In the after, I was a DLC. So I've seen a lot of both of the different sides of what it was like before we implemented Rapid Identity and how it looks from more of a district standpoint now. And so it's really helped me be able to talk to our STCs, talk to our kids, talk to our teachers about why we needed to go this route. When Warren County started looking at Rapid Identity, it happened a couple of years ago, but our overall goal were these things on the board. So because of these things, improving security, personalized experience, unified platform, ease of use, and then making things more efficient for our technology staff, those were the main goals in mind as our CIO started thinking about a more unified experience. Improving security was a big one. In the before, kids would come to the library with index cards that were this long, all of their accounts and passwords, things taped to their Chromebook. I mean, it was a data security nightmare. Um, and in the past few years, as data security has become more of a concern, that was a big reason we moved toward this rapid identity platform, was because we can't have kids running around with their passwords just flying everywhere. When students log in to Rapid Identity and when they log into their Chromebook, actually, the apps portal is the very first thing they see. It doesn't matter what school they log into or what school they're at, they will see the Rapid Identity portal. And because of that, we roster about 40 instructional applications through the district. When they log into Rapid Identity, it's just one more click for them to get to their product without having multiple different places to go. And so they're not having to remember an extra password. They're not having to put something on their computer where their account passwords are all over the place. And then, so I mentioned the district supported apps do not have a separate login. And we'll talk a little bit more about some of the other apps that we added and why we chose to add those. But our main focus first was supporting those district rostered apps, and we have over 40 of those. We also wanted to provide a unified platform. Again, we are a big district. Lots of different schools had different Chromebook faces. When the kids would open up their Chromebook, it might have their school logo or their bookmarks bar was different. And we all know as kids transfer in and out, and our district is very transient, they transfer schools a ton. They might be at our district one week, another district the next week, and then 2 weeks later they're back with us, or they're back with us but at a different school. And so we wanted every user to have the same look. So it didn't matter whether they went to Rich Pond Elementary or whether they went to Richardsville Elementary. When they open that Chromebook, it's the exact same experience for every student. It's familiar. If they do transfer to a new school, they're not confused when they open the Chromebook. It's like, oh, that's a familiar thing. I know exactly where to go to find my product. And then it also helps create that unity and equity across the district because we are such a transient population. We also wanted to allow for a personalized experience. So with Rapid Identity, you can create different personas. And basically that's like different levels of access, different looks in terms of what all you can pin to the dashboard. We, at this time, have 4 personas. We have an elementary persona, we have a middle and high school persona, a staff persona, and then a tech staff persona. So when you just log in, visually, it all looks the same. So we don't have, other than the school title at the top, we haven't gone deep in the weeds with personalizing every single experience yet. That might be something we get to in coming months or coming years. But for right now, we just have those 4 personas. So all the elementary schools, when they open it, other than their school title at the top, it looks the exact same. Also in the personalized experience, depending on what levels you set within your data management and then within your Rapid Identity portal is what different populations can do. So our elementary schools are pretty locked down. They can add apps, but that first group of apps that they have is locked and they can't move those around. You can also create folders of similar app groups. And then I'll pull up our Rapid Identity portal and just kind of show you what it looks like from an actual school perspective. I'm not going to dive into our people search because I don't we have student data on there, and I don't have like a fake rapid identity account like the lady did yesterday. And then if you enable it, you can also rearrange your apps. So we do have that enabled for staff, but our students can't rearrange things on their screen. So this is what ours looks like, and I'll log in, or I am logged in. I'll show you in just a second. Um, but overall, when our students open their Chromebook, they have their school name at the top, and then based upon their grade level, the apps that are pinned don't move. Okay, so this is what mine looks like today. Um, I removed the Richardsville Elementary student links, and I'll talk about that in just a minute as being a whole separate thing. Um, but when you right click on an app, you can remove it from home, and staff have this ability, but the students do not. You can remove it from home, and it remains in the app library, so they can't totally delete it. But if a teacher doesn't want that app on their home screen, they don't have to have it. They can move it to an existing folder, or they can create a new folder. So I created a folder of my Google products and slid everything in there. And then the apps that I use most frequently are here on my dashboard. The app library is extremely easy to search. When you click the waffle, you just click app library and you can see everything that we have. And you'll see through here we have a couple of student link sites. We are trying to usher those out. But if you want to add something, you just click the star next to it. It's very easy for students to use as well because everything is in ABC order. And so they don't have to worry about reading. They just say, okay, Canva has that blue logo with the C in the middle. Kids find that, star it, it appears on their dashboard. If it is locked, that means our district makes that be on your app portal. It makes it be on your dashboard. So they can't take it away. They can't move it. It is just there. You can also just search for an app. If you know what you're looking for, you can just type that in. So if I wanted to go to my Canva, it automatically pulls that up. You can change your settings a little bit. Melissa mentioned this yesterday. You can turn your recents on or off. And I found that out yesterday that I could turn my recents off because that was driving me crazy. So I turned that off. Let me go back to my main screen so you can see what happens. If you turn it on, it just has those recents at the top. Comfy, it puts things a little further apart. You can change it to compact. You can make them medium or large. And that's especially good if you have a low vision student. They can increase the size of their apps. And you can go light mode or dark mode. You can also get to the portal experience through here. You can choose whether you want staff or we have that help desk staff persona. And just depending on how many different portals a staff or student is in is what they can pick from there. And then enterprise view is going to take you to where you can do all the configuration. I'm not going in the weeds with that because it is quite a bit. That would be a whole separate session on its own, I think. But there is a lot you can do. The apps are very easy to add. Our data integration specialist showed me how to do that. It's very quick. It's a glorified bookmark bar, I would say. A little bit reminding you of like a Symbaloo type product, but more secure. And then we have our operational apps in here. So we have Munis Pen, Infinite Campus, our Red Rover app, our ticketing system with Incident IQ. And then when you click on these, it just goes right to your product because you've already authenticated when you log in. So everything is connected and it just goes. Do you all have any questions about this before I take this down and put it back on the presentation? Okay. So, because the interface of Rapid Identity and the apps portal is so easy, that was one of the things that kind of drew us to Rapid Identity Go View portal, was because it is easy to use. Um, it's a one-stop shop for all of our instructional and operational, as well as password management. So our staff and students can manage passwords. I'll talk about high school and middle school things that we did. Um, but they can change their password right within that portal as well. And so it's an easy place to go for them to all remember how to get there. They don't have to remember multiple, like, okay, this link is on the finance department page and this link is on human resources. And it's just a one stop shop for everybody. And one thing that we have seen over time, especially as if you are elementary, is that this portal has saved us valuable instructional minutes, which at the end of the day is the goal. Um, we are fully expecting our kindergartners, first and second graders to be able to do things on the computer. We have high standards for them, and we don't say, oh, they're too little to do that. But it is also very difficult. The more curricular platforms are online, the more instructional products are online. They're spending a lot of time on a Chromebook, and a 5-year-old has a hard time, whether they're proficient or not, typing in all those passwords, typing in their email, their user account, whatever, to all these different products. And so this has saved our teachers a lot of valuable instructional minutes. And so that was really our greatest gain, I think, that we have seen so far. Again, App Library is very easily searchable, and then based upon the persona, everybody sees the same thing. And it's efficient process for our technical staff. So you saw as I went through our apps library that we have some schools who still have some student link sites. And when in the before, all of our school technology coordinators managed their school's student link site. Then they would have to keep up with all of that, send the technology department their student links page. We would go into Google Admin, pin that on their managed bookmarks, and so that way it was easy for them to get to. So that was in the before. In the after, they don't have to do that anymore. There are a couple of schools who still have those student link sites, but we ask if they still have those sites. They do not have any instructional product that we have on the apps portal because it just causes confusion. And sometimes the routes that they go to for those products are not always the correct ones, because we know sometimes those things change. The URL changes, the way we log in changes. And so if they still have that student link site, we ask that no product that we have already on our apps portal is duplicated in that. So that was something that we saw at the very beginning when we pushed out Rapid Identity. We were getting reports like, hey, we click on HMH and it's not taking us where it's supposed to go. And come to find out, they were going through their old student link site because that's just what they were used to, instead of going through the apps portal and it was the wrong link. And so that has saved a lot of frustration for our teachers and our STCs, and a lot of frustration for our tech staff as well. And then another thing it has helped us find is gaps based on our app request. So if students or staff do not see an app that they want, they can request that to be on there. And what that has done is, if the request comes through, we kind of look at it and say, well, is this something that is like a single use, like just your school uses it? Do we have a lot of schools using this? Have we even approved this app for use, or you just want to throw it on there? And so if you kind of get in the weeds with that, you can end up bookmarking the entire internet. So I don't suggest that. But that kind of has helped us streamline our data security check process. If they don't see something they want on here, they request it, then we're like, oh, wait a minute, that hadn't even, we can't use that yet. That has not been cleared. So that was another little side piece that we unintentionally found when we opened Rapid Identity. I am part of the instructional technology team. So again, I was not in any part of setting any of that up. Um, but our instructional technology team did have a role in rolling this out to the district. There are 3 DLCs in our district, and we have an instructional technology coordinator and our CIO, and that is our instructional tech team. And so, as the instructional technology team, some of the things we did, we created some resources. I'm going to show you just like some screenshots of those. Um, I'm going to tell you kind of about visiting schools, testing with multiple grade levels, and training staff. And then we also help staff and students claim accounts. And so, um, when we visited all of our schools, our DLC team divided and conquered. We took a technician with us. We would literally go to a school and sit all day to make sure that every student or every staff member first had their account claimed. Again, that's a whole different presentation, but that was part of the process that we did when we rolled out Rapid Identity is we started having our staff claim their accounts through Rapid Identity, and then we also allow our middle and high school students to claim their accounts. So we did the full school tour in 2 separate rounds. The first one was for the staff, and then the second one, as schools decided to kind of jump on board and pilot that, South Warren High School was the very first one who was like, hey, we want to do that. We want our kids to claim their accounts. We want them to be able to manage their passwords instead of submitting a ticket. Now you've got to wait until one of us sees it. We get that password changed. We send it back to you. You find the kid. So our middle and high school students claimed their own accounts and they now manage their own passwords. We still have a lot of ability. If there's a discipline issue or a data breach, we can still lock those down. But it gives them a little more autonomy and a little more buy-in and control over their own digital identity. Yes. Yes. So in the before, we had a password system that was maybe not the most secure. And then after some digging, we realized that maybe it needed to be a little bit different because their password was really tied to their digital identity. And so we thought that's not a great plan. So as we learn more about data security, we had them claim their accounts, and logistically, our STCs were a huge help in that process. Specifically, the South Warren STC helped us create student directions. So she was like, your password has to consist of all of our parameters that we set. So she merged their accounts and their names. It was like, here is your email. Here's where you go to claim your account. You click this button. And so we did South Warren in 2 days. South Warren is how many students? 1,600 students. But when we did the student account claiming, the entire department went. So we would go sit for a couple days at a school, make sure all of those students could claim their accounts. And we also didn't know what it was going to do, like bog down the network or whatever. So we kind of did South Warren in some shifts, like we did this hallway, and then we would go to this hallway. So we had the teachers lead that process in their classroom, and then we would monitor the hallways, and a teacher could poke their head out and be like, hey, we have a kid in here who needs help. And then if they needed more help than what we could provide, we had our data integration specialist in the library ready to help them because he's the one who pushes all the buttons. Right. Yes. Yeah. So the question, or Amy added that it is not necessary that when you go to Rapid Identity that you have to change all of your student passwords. Like we just needed to, based on what our password structure was before that. Um, and so that was why. But Rapid Identity made that a very easy experience, other than just the sheer amount of kids that we have. So then we did a school tours. We let our principals and STCs decide when their school was ready. And so we didn't force it on them. Um, After South Warren was a success, and the other schools were like, "Hey, that didn't seem bad," so we're ready. So we had them all claimed before fall break, maybe. Um, and so that all of our middle and high schools were claimed. Actually, we did middle school the next year. So we did high school the first year, and then we added middle schools on the year after that. Yeah.
So another thing that as part of rapid identity, you're encouraged to build your team. And so, with the rollout, you're encouraged to like bring your HR staff on board, your finance staff on board, your district leadership. Our instructional technology team felt that it was a good thing to essentially bring the teachers into the team. And so that's why the teachers led that process of the claiming of their accounts at the middle school, high school, because then the teachers are learning that process as well by teaching their students. And they're always a resource in maintaining that digital identity and everything for their students as well.
That was a good question. Thank you. So we visit all schools, help students and staff claim accounts. Our DLC team, we would go to, at the beginning of the year when we first rolled out Rapid Identity, we went to school faculty meetings, opening day discussions, and would go and talk to their staff about the exact claiming process. We would teach them how to do it. We would make sure, we could get as many staff as we could on board with that and claim before we left. And then also, before we rolled out Rapid Identity, we tested with multiple schools and multiple grade levels on their login experience, what it's going to look like when they log in. And so that's definitely a piece of advice I have for you when we get to that slide. So, well, I don't know why that's not coming up. We're just letting it go. We created some different resources that we sent out to our district. Again, I just have some screenshots on here because there are some things like we went whole hog into Rapid Identity, and not every district we understand is going to do that or wants to do that or is ready to do that. We just like jumped in with both feet and we're like, here we go. So we created some slides for our STCs, for our admins and teachers, because they have some different rights versus what students have. Our STCs and admins have different rights than teachers. And we also created some tips and tricks for teachers and parents on NTI days, because when they open that Chromebook, the parents are used to looking at one thing, and then we send it home on an NTI day, and now it looks completely different. And so we sent directions to all of our STCs about what it's going to look like for students to log in, and then they push those out to the parents. And then we had account claiming instructions for all of our staff that we sent out, that we were able to send to all of our schools. We walked through that, like that was our training documentation and our training slides that we used. So as you all jump into this process, as a district who has done it, we just had some things to offer and things for you to consider based on what worked, what went great in our district, what we would have maybe done a little bit differently moving forward. And the very first piece of advice I would have is communicate. Communicate, 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 communicate. And if you think you've done it enough, do it 5 more times, because somebody didn't hear it the first 5 that you said it. And they open up their Chromebook like, why does it look like this? So large amounts of communication leading up to when you all actually turn that button on. If you all have schools with individual student links that I discussed earlier, I would definitely set an expiration date for those to kind of start going away. And so we did that with our SCCs. And then again, like schools might have 2 or 3 things on there that aren't really rostered through our district, but it just might be like only this school uses it, so it doesn't really need to be on our apps portal because it's not a broad thing. Test, 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 test before you push the button. Test with multiple grade levels, different student accounts, different grade bands, what their experience looks like. And when I talk about testing and them logging in, In our district, with the apps portal and rapid identity, you can choose whether the student logs in with a password, whether they log in with a QR code, or if they have like a multi-factor authentication. And then you can also set those up for a pictograph to make it even a little more secure for those younger kids who are using a QR code, because those things fall on the floor, they disappear in under a desk, and a kid's like, "Oh, here's so and so's password. I'm going to scan it." But then having that pictograph as that second step helps keep that account a little bit more secure. So we have pre-K, kindergarten, and first graders that are allowed to use their QR codes. Our first graders, with the understanding that hopefully by after Christmas, they are phasing those out and ready to go to passwords. Um, we also have our SPED and EL population allowed to use QR codes because, again, we have a high number of newcomers who do not speak any English. And so that was something that we really wanted to help provide that population with an ease of use tool that they can now scan a QR code instead of trying to figure out a password in a language that they don't know. I would also focus on district rostered products first, get everybody used to those. Again, if you take every request that your teachers have, you're going to end up bookmarking the whole internet. And so that's going to become a logistical nightmare. You're going to spend half of your time doing that. So that was something that we just really focused on, was just rostering those district supported products first. And then plan for the one-offs, because there's going to be a lot. Various situations, different school needs, your population changes. So there's going to be these little, like, oh, I didn't know this, or I didn't know this. So kind of have a plan in mind as you go through that. Do you have anything to add about the one-offs? Yes. Yeah. Just like with any new system, you're going to have those little glitches. Um, but just kind of thinking all those things through, what it might look like for a student, what it's going to look like for a high school student versus elementary. But anytime you roll out something new, all those things always happen. I am done. I'm sure y'all are tired of hearing from me. Do you all have any other questions? Okay. In the before. Mhm. Mhm. Okay, so please correct me if I'm wrong or what you want to add. In Rapid Identity, you can mask in as a staff member or a student, but Rapid Identity does not let you click into the product. So you cannot click into their Google Docs. You cannot click into their iReady. You cannot click into their HMH, whatever the case may be. So we, as a district technology team, have admin rights to almost all of our instructional technology products, as well as we still have that Google admin console that if there was like an investigative issue you needed to do, then Amy takes care of those. So it's kind of not a great workaround, but a workaround. And then honestly, we try to just have customer service in the forefront of our mind. So if a student is having an issue that we can't really think through, we'll say, hey, I'm coming. We'll go to the school, we'll watch what's happening with our own eyeballs, and then kind of get a better idea. Because we know in our, in tickets, teachers are rushed. They try to put in whatever information that they can and that they know. We might go back and forth with some questions, and if we can't figure it out from that point, we just go put eyeballs on it. And we have a great technician staff who also are versed in what a student might see if they click here on this product or whatever. So we just try to keep that customer service in the forefront. Do you have anything you want to add?
we had used Clever in the past and still use Clever for rostering. We also use ClassLink for one product in the past for rostering, but we never utilized the SSO portal in the past, in the before. So when we started this, we were trying to evaluate what it looked like. Now we still fully use Clever for rostering of products. It's just we've never used their SSO portal. And then when we were kind of debating on what this looked like, one of the things that we liked about everybody being on the Rapid Identity apps portal is not only is there instructional products there and available, but that's where like our middle school, high school, and staff go to manage their account. So if they need to update their password, they go through that. And so that was important for us. So I just want to be fully transparent that we never use Clever really as an SSO portal.
And then, like our staff's digital identity lives within Rapid Identity now. So it's not all spread apart. Our data integration specialist did a great job of kind of combining everything and narrowing that down. So their whole digital identity lives in Rapid Identity now. Other questions? Yes. Mm-hmm. So her question, if you couldn't hear her, was in her system, when a staff member changes their password, it could take up to 30 minutes for that to filter down through all the systems. And then staff are asking, when's it going to work? And so it takes about 30 minutes. With Rapid Identity, it is instant. So if they change that password, they are immediately logged out of anything else they had open. They have to change the password on their phone, but it happens instantly. Any other questions? Well, thank you all so much for coming. If you all have any questions, you can email me. And if I don't know the answer, I will pass it on to somebody who does. But I appreciate you all being here, and I hope you have a good rest of your conference and safe travel home.